I told y'all Angel Reese was garbage. I told y'all Angel Reese was pure garbage. How you like me now? How you like me now? How you like me now? Angel Reese, you had me laughing at you, girl. I told you, Angel Reese is a pure bum, the worst kind. Angel Reese is the type to steal the trash off your curb and try to see if she can go put it in her refrigerator. The girl can't make a layup to save her life.
Forget the final score for a moment, because the real mystery in this game may have been hiding somewhere inside the whistles. Every questionable call seemed to arrive at exactly the right or exactly the wrong moment. And before long, Caitlin Clark fans were connecting one decision to another, building a pattern out of individual calls. Then Angel Reese and the Atlanta Dream became part of the equation, and the entire situation got stranger. So was this simply bad officiating? Or was something else happening underneath the surface? The game itself was already chaotic before the controversial sequence even arrived.
So I tweeted out initially this was nothing. This is worse than I thought it was. Like this, again, I'm not going to say it's intentional because Angel just throws her arms around. But like, this is a flagrant. Like, that's really bad. That is really bad with the refs. I thought it was this one. When I said, oh, this is nothing, I thought it was this situation here that they were looking at.
Indiana and Atlanta went into that Sunday matchup with plenty on the line, and the Fever eventually escaped with a 95-91 overtime win. Clark finished with 26 points and 9 assists. Reese put up 15 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists for Atlanta. But if you only look at the final score, you miss the part of this game that has people actually talking about the officials. Because there was a stretch where it genuinely looked like Indiana might lose a game it had spent the entire night fighting to win. And the strangest character in that sequence wasn't Clark, wasn't Reese, wasn't even the Dream as a team. It was the whistle. And this is where the story gets interesting. The Fever were already dealing with a game that refused to behave the way it was supposed to. Atlanta kept hanging around. Indiana couldn't fully shake them loose.
By the WNBA's own rules, she is not looking at Caitlin Clark. I am not going to say this is intentional. It doesn't matter if it's intentional or not. It's a flagrant 1. If it's intentional, it's a flagrant 2. If it's not intentional, it's a flagrant 1. Like, if this is intentional, it's you toss her. Like, it's as simple as that. But like, this is the most obvious flagrant 1 I've seen. Like, she caught her in the neck. And then she's immediately going to the refs. Look at it. Go to the monitor, my neck. And the refs ignore it.
And every single time the Fever looked ready to close the door, the Dream found another way to kick it back open. Then came the late game officiating sequence. And suddenly, what had been a basketball game turned into something closer to a courtroom. Everybody watching had a different read on it, and social media went into full detective mode almost immediately. Some fans were convinced Indiana was getting squeezed by the officials at the worst possible moment. Others argued the contact was legitimate, that the referees were simply doing their job under pressure. What made this sequence so controversial wasn't just that a whistle got blown. It was that the decision seemed to create more questions than it answered. Once the play went under review, viewers naturally expected the replay.
The balance with which Howard takes the shot. She's just kind of on a fade a little bit. Watch this, like, no, it's almost like fingertip
to settle the argument, because that's supposed to be the entire point of getting another look. Instead, the review seemed to make the situation even harder to understand, especially for fans who genuinely didn't see enough contact to justify what followed. That's where the frustration really started to build. If officials are going to stop the game, pull up the footage from multiple angles, and then change or confirm a call in a critical moment, the explanation that follows should be clear enough that viewers actually understand what.
Like, bro, the refs in Atlanta got something going on, bro. Like, let's look at it one more time. Slow motion. This is as pathetic as these 4, well, I'm going to say 3 of the 4 hooligans at halftime just blabbing about Atlanta. We understand about
and Angel Reese. So when I say specifically on Threads that I am concerned about the way that this game is going to turn out between the Fever and the Dream, this is what I mean.
Though they were two different games, it involved the same referee, and the referee didn't have the same energy that he had for Caitlyn for Angel. So I would not be surprised if we see some of this biased refereeing come during the game on Thursday, because it's very clear that there's some bias going on and that somebody is allowed to throw tantrums while somebody else is not even allowed to wave you off and walk.
Happened. Instead, a lot of people were left wondering what the referees had actually seen, and more importantly, what specific action they believed justified the call they made. Now, to be clear, none of that automatically proves the officials were trying to help Atlanta beat Indiana. And it would be irresponsible to treat an accusation of intentional manipulation as an established fact without real evidence behind it. There's a meaningful difference between a bad call, an inconsistent call, and a deliberate attempt to influence a result. Those distinctions matter, especially once the accusation involves professional referees and the integrity of an entire league. But questioning the decision itself? That's completely reasonable. Fans can ask why one type of contact draws a whistle, while a similar type doesn't. They can question why a replay review produced a result that didn't match what they saw live in real time. They can ask whether the rule was applied correctly and consistently in a moment when the entire game was hanging in the balance.
Very interesting about those two clips is that it involved the same referee. In the first clip, Caitlin Clark had the ball, and she basically wanted a foul called, and she throws a tantrum right in front of the ref, and the ref does nothing. Doesn't blow the whistle, doesn't even tee her up, nothing, okay? This same ref, the very next day, ended up reffing a game for the Atlanta Dream, and he makes a call. Angel didn't like it. She waves him off and walks away, and he tees her up. So to me, if you teed up one, you should have teed up the other, right? Right? You see, this is the evidence that showcases that there is bias in refereeing in the WNBA, particularly when it comes to
clearly a better basketball player than Angel Reese.
But you know what's crazy? Because I don't...
But Angel Reese is a good player, but she just play two different positions. Like, it's not even the same type of game.
But there's always a conversation about, y'all don't see that? About who's better out of the two ladies, Caitlyn or Angel Reese? I always thought...
I
don't see that conversation anymore.
Okay, not anymore, right? But in the beginning, yes. And I actually started to watch some of the clips because I wanted to determine for myself. And then I was like, oh, Caitlyn is obviously really a great player. I don't know why they even have the conversation. But Angel Reese is amazing as well, too. But anyway, they love to put the women against each other. So instantly that caught the headlines, that caught social.
None of those questions require a conspiracy theory. They just require someone with authority to actually explain the decision. And given how much attention officiating involving Clark has already received this season, it was probably inevitable that this specific moment would draw even more scrutiny than a normal late-game call. Clark has been vocal about missed calls in previous games. Indiana coach Stephanie White has also spoken publicly about the importance of consistency from officials.
Wow. You would think that Angel Reese going against Caitlin Clark, she would try to show up at least in some sort of fashion, right? Well, she showed up physically. Now, when it comes to talent, oh my gosh, Caitlin Clark just embarrassed this girl. I mean, let me just play this. Let's not do too much talking. Look at Caitlin Clark just laughing. We'll get to how we got to this point of the game. Caitlin Clark enjoying the last laugh on Angel Reese, just trolling her, looking at her in disbelief like, wow.
That background matters, because once fans start believing the standard itself is inconsistent, every questionable whistle stops being an isolated incident. It becomes one more piece of evidence in an argument that was already happening long before this game tipped off. Suddenly, one call is no longer just one call. It becomes part of a much bigger conversation about whether...
It's to a point to where it's like, this stuff isn't an accident. It's always happening to the same people and the same team. Y'all get out of here with it was an accident, it's a coincidence. Get out of here with that, bro. And in the same play multiple times, like, come on, bro. Like, people trying to get away with certain stuff, and it's just nasty, bro. It just shows people's character, and it shows y'all character too, because y'all will take up and make excuses.
Clark gets the same treatment as everyone else on the floor about whether the Fever are getting the same standard of officiating as their opponents, and about whether the league fully understands how much scrutiny its referees are now under every single night. The irony underneath all of it is that Clark didn't even need to dominate every possession to become the central figure in this game. She simply kept Indiana alive at the exact moment the contest threatened to slip away, and let everything else happening around her do the rest of the talking.